So a couple things you need to think about with the Ironclad and the Ironclad Assault as we go into the kind of the tail end of Drake Defense Con is two different things. One, the Drake Ironclad Q&A, which is in general that covers both ships, and I will be including a link in the pinned comment and in the description to this because I do believe this is important to answer the questions around particularly the Ironclad Assault, and if you have general questions about either ship. And as you'll note here, there is people asking about the retractable roof. So, like for refresher, the base version has the retractable roof, and it's promised in the specs and everything else. And the question is, the Ironclad Assault, with its smaller area that's in front of its repair zone, will it also have such a retractable roof or not? Is a top question. But unfortunately, some of the other things that are being asked are either kind of already been established, or they're like kind of softball questions. So some of them are actually pretty good, like about the component fabrication on the Ironclad Assault, and will it be able to do things like, for example, fighter components and such, which is something they did not promise. So, here's another one talking about the ramps, talking about specifically about the ramps. So some of these are very in the weeds, and some of these are more critical. But what I want to stress to you is use your judgment and get in here, and at the very least, upvote the questions you want answered. Because out of everything I'm seeing here, very few of these questions that are actually getting the upvotes they need are making it up here. They're not getting the numbers they need to be able to be seen, unfortunately. In particular, will the Assault have the retractable roof? And also the tractor beam question. So what you can do is you can literally just use the search, and there you go, and add your vote to whatever it is. So the interior question about the interior turret, this is probably actually a weapon turret, because there's already a whole bunch of tractor beams, unless it's the third tractor beam on the base variant. And that's actually as a defensive measure. So if somebody wanders up the ramp or wanders in from outside here, you have a turret that can fire upon them. So here's a much more important question. Does the Assault have tractor beams? They're listed in the base, but not the Assault. And this would be a great way for CIG to say, well, yes, it has one, but not two or three, etc. In that specific environment. That would be a great way for them to kind of clarify these things. So the retractable roof, and does the Assault have tractor beam? If it does not have a tractor beam, it creates a very difficult situation for the Ironclad Assault, where you have no rooftop retractable access. That's problem one. And problem two is not having a ship-based tractor beam within the compartment itself. It's almost like a bridge too far, because especially if you have a damaged vehicle, how the heck are you supposed to get the damaged large class vehicle directly into the back of the structure very smoothly? So they need some type of mechanism to, at the very least, move vehicles around between the repair zone and the regular locations. Because after all, these aren't like pad services, so to speak, except for the little repair area, unless they're each going to have their own pad. It just doesn't add up. So I'm hoping to hear, like, yeah, we have a ship tractor beam. It's just not as awesome as the multi-tractor beam assembly at the base. And then the roof can open, because that opens up a lot of doors. And it's a much smaller area. I don't see how it'll be breaking balance or something for it to be able to have its top open. Well, some of the other questions coming up are, can it repair fighters or supply components? Which I think if they do get that question, they'll say no, but don't. Hey, I'm not CIG. So my advice is, if you want to find something out, at the very least, upvote the questions you want. You can use the Control F to use your search feature, and then type in whatever question you wanted, and be sure to upvote it in every which way. And the other thing is, of course, you can write your own comments to this. And this is all in general Drake Ironclad Q&A. It's pinned right to the top, and it's also linked in the pinned comment below. So I'm just trying to offer, any support I possibly can, especially I understand some people have already CCU'd or they picked up CCUs like myself. I've picked up a CCU, but I did not apply it for the Drake Ironclad Assault. And I'm currently sitting on it. And I had the beauty of it, though, is it's only a 5 USD CCU. But that has changed. So here's the other major change that's happened during this sale. The Ironclad Assault is going from 525 USD to 535 USD. That's a 10 USD price jump. And we had to double check the database listings. So there's a lot of API pulls that do databases and such, all public knowledge and info and everything for the community. And some of the community's own tools were reporting that this was confirmed, that this jumped up 10 USD. Not really with any explanation, just out of nowhere, and no announcement per CIG that I could find as of recording. And 535 USD suddenly turns my 5 USD CCU. I've already gained 10 USD because now this is a 15 USD CCU. Now, some of the speculation amongst the community was maybe they were trying to add some separation for war bond sales of this Ironclad Assault, but that did not happen. Who knows, maybe as of today at noon, they'll suddenly have an Ironclad Assault war bond and it'll cut down, 10 or 15 USD, and that kind of gives you that sense of a deal. It could more likely be that they basically were intending for it to be 535 USD from the beginning, and they entered it into the sale pages and such, and they had to stick with it for the initial sale. But then in the middle of the initial sale is still ongoing. They added it. They updated the price. And the price, 10 USD, you think honestly, if I was in their shoes, I would kind of let it go. If I was going to do that, just price jump it quietly after it's no longer for sale and just go, look, it's not like it's in the middle of the sale. And this is going to impact a few folks because, well, quite a few, because of the Q&A. There are a lot of folks who are waiting for this Q&A to come out so they know if they can want to buy this or not. And honestly, I've told you before that you can go wait for the finale to have all ships available to you. But with Drake, it's on its own. The price hike just happened. At any point, they could turn around and just say, "Oh, Drake's not included in the finale," because that's technically officially the overall event that's back at Bevic Convention Center this year, the ILW that's occurring there. CIG could do that, technically. But yeah, so and then you have Alien Week following up right behind it, so they're kind of on a compressed schedule. It's kind of weird. Also, this week is 3.2. 3.2 should be going into PTU, or sorry, EPTU to be exact. I think Evo gets it first, and then Waves after that. And they said as early as I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday. I heard different days floated around publicly. They said that stuff. So it should be interesting to see if there's anything else. This will not impact the Ironclad, but I'm just trying to give you some perspective on where CIG's head's at. I'm curious how many people they have to answer this Q&A here, and when they will have the time to answer this Q&A, because when they get to like a brand new patch going into the EPT patch cycle, they kind of have a lot of focus on that. It's not as big as like when they launch a live patch, but it's pretty big when it's the first builds of a brand new patch going out to the player. Outside of staff, going out to players of any level. It certainly brings up a lot of people. So I'm curious about this Q&A. I think there's going to be some good information here. Once again, be sure to vote, be sure to reply and put your own questions in if you'd like, and get the answers if you don't see what you're already asking, or don't forget you can do you can do most of these things straight from here. If you're wondering why I haven't set a date, unfortunately, CIG has not put a date here, which is frustrating because if there's no end date, then you don't know if this is practically going to be available to purchase with the especially with the LTI on the war bond straight purchase. So if you're buying with new money, you'd be able to get this on war bond with LTI right now. But by the time this Q&A comes out, you may only have like very little time to react or no time to react, and it's already passed. Frustratingly. For CCUers, it's not that big of a deal. For credit buyers, it's not that big of a deal. You can always just melt again and just go roll off. But it is worth noting that you might lose your 10-year insurance if you were to directly purchase this after the sale. So my best advice is pick up a CCU if you already have insurance and you're not worried about that, and just do not apply the CCU. Do not apply the CCU. Do not apply the CCU until you know exactly what you want. And that goes for both Ironclads, because this Q&A may throw us some curveballs. Look at all the changes the Ironclad assaults faced so far, just going through this. And some of the other things that came up, like players had to determine, where exactly the docking collar is. Players have to determine if there's security inside the cargo hold and exactly what that looks like. Players are working through like where the captain has a little mini room on their own and where that looks. I wish CIG spent a little more time on showing us a few more concept pictures like in the past on some of these ships. There's concepts come out with a ton of information, whereas on this one there's a decent bit for the regular Ironclad, but the Ironclad assault's not very well documented so far. So hopefully with this Q&A we'll get a few pictures as well. I can dream and be able to roll this through. All right, that's all I got right now. I just wanted to do this quick video covering this hot topic, and because I felt an obligation to kind of give you some, I'm one of the people that brought it up and talked about how great it was, and then found out like the Ironclad assaults, tractor beams don't really exist or may not exist, and the retractable roof may not exist. And a lot of times with CIG, it's not that they'll literally write that in capital letters or bold it or something. It'll be just quietly missing. And if you miss that tiny little detail in one sales pitch, whether it be the sale page or the spec sheet that's a PDF, or the a random dev writing something on Reddit or on a Discord somewhere, it can be very frustrating trying to piece together these early days of a concept. And part of that is due to the fact that it is a concept. It's something in flux. So something that was posted 2 weeks ago is not as relevant as something that was posted today. And these events kind of compress that experience into a very distilled environment that's very frustrating to I think some. But yeah, I think that's part of the excitement, is the unknowns and trying to uncover all this. And you just hope that you're not going to have something in your fleet you're not going to end up paying happy with. And I'm going to tail this into that. I believe that either one of these ships will treat you well, and it's one of the more fascinating and captivating ships in the game right now. Even as a concept, it certainly changes some of the calculus. One of the things I kept talking about was like the Kraken is bound to have the base Ironclad as a loner, part of its loner matrix. And you can imagine why. I mean, you can see the ship as like a baby. It's taking a lot of the designs concepts from a Kraken and attempting to bring them into a kit bash much smaller size. And then also some of the best parts of a Caterpillar. Aside from that flyable cockpit thing that's double height. It's just, that's weird. But other than that, I really do admire this ship, and it kind of scratches that itch of Liberators for me while I'm waiting for it. And I only had to pick up a 5 USD CCU. And by the way, that same deal from an M2 to a Ironclad Assault is now 15 USD. So it's not the end of the world, but it is a little more credit tied up. So yeah, that's where my head's at right now. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for the subscribers. Greatly appreciate you being around, sharing this adventure through ILW with me.